Hey guys, are you struggling to set boundaries in your beauty salon? If you are, I completely know where you are coming from because I have definitely been there myself and learned my lessons the hard way. So, boundaries are so important because without them, generally you can tend to feel as though it's your clients that are actually running your business or that are in control of your business over you. And the number one problem I see when it comes to boundaries and why they're not being implemented is because a lot of people don't actually know what their own boundaries are. So step one would be put pen to paper and write down what are your boundaries, like what are acceptable for you and what are not acceptable for you, and just what you want to implement in your business. How would setting these boundaries help your business or help you and everything to run a lot more smoothly? So once you've gotten really clear on what your boundaries are, then you need to voice them to your team. If you do have a team, they need to be really on board and on par with what your boundaries are and why. I always like to explain why to people because I feel like it gives them a better understanding of where you're coming from, and it can really sink into them as like, okay, this is why we need that boundary in place. Once you've done that and you and your team are on the same page, then you can start voicing your boundaries out to your clients. So without these boundaries, without your clients knowing the boundaries as well, what ends up happening is they end up deciding through their own moral compass and ethics what is okay and what is not okay. And we need to change that because what they think is okay and what you think is okay or know is okay for your business may be two completely different things. So once you know, your team know, now you need your clients to know. So you can do that through any social platform, Facebook, Instagram, emails, bots, your website, wherever you feel like it would be best suited. For me, I found Facebook and my website was enough. Website, if you have one, and I really hope that you do in 2020, is a must. Like, you have to have them on your website. A lot of people do bookings now through websites, so that way you can have clients read and agree to your terms and conditions, or send them through to a page that has, all your boundaries on it. And yeah, I did mine through Facebook as well, which I found worked really, really well for me. I got a lot of great feedback from putting my boundaries on there. A lot of my clients were extremely understanding. And look, you may lose some clients to these boundaries, and do you know what? That's okay. They're not your people. They can find other salons that are happy for them to go to. So, for instance, one of my boundaries was people being late. I don't like people being late because then I get really anxious because the rest of my day is back to back. So generally, I've either got to try and play catch up somewhere or I'm late for every other client for the entire day. So that was one for me. Another big one for me where I did lose some clients was no kids in my salon. I don't have kids. I don't like kids in my salon. I don't believe, for me, it's a place to have children because I can't concentrate. Like, I get really anxious, I get really nervous because I do a shit job, to be honest, because the kids are like, I'm watching them and they're like crying and screaming and throwing food and grabbing like, really expensive equipment or really dangerous stuff. And I'm like almost trying to keep my eye on the kid or kids and try and do my job. To me, it's ridiculous. It's not what I signed up for. So, I did lose clients to that. They found home-based businesses that were willing to take them on and they were allowed to bring their kids, and that's fine. We all have different boundaries and that's okay. So my other thing would be, after you have voiced this out to your clients, is to know when you're willing to be flexible. There's going to be times that come up where you need to be flexible. Things happen. That's life. And, we're generally pretty empathetic and understanding people to a certain extent. However, you also need to know when you're not willing to be flexible. And this is even good to role play with your team and start writing down like common occurrences that have happened over your time as a boss, as a therapist, and your team as well. And then you can all start role playing out, you know, how you're going to address that specific issue. So for instance, being late, I used to always say, oh, you know, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's okay, come in. And they're like 20 minutes late to like a 30-minute appointment, and inside I'm like, fuck, this is not okay. Like, oh my God, how am I going to do this in 10 minutes? Oh my God, I'm going to be late. Like, oh, should I quickly message my next client, or should I just quickly do the browse? And inside I was a mess, and I was like, fuck, this is not okay that you're 20 minutes late. But my words were like, oh, it's okay, it's fine, like, no problem. You know, how is the client supposed to know my boundaries when I'm telling them that it's okay, but it's not okay? So from that, I had to switch it to actually, when you're 10 minutes late or more, your appointment is automatically cancelled and your deposit is lost. And I started to stand really strong with this, and I wasn't apologetic about it, because at the end of the day, they had booked an appointment being quite aware of my boundaries. And you know, you've got to do what you've got to do. And once you do this once to a client, they are not going to be late again. There were definitely times where, you know, people might be 10 minutes late, and I would say, look, you know what, more than happy to still do you, I can still fit you in. However, next time if you are 10 minutes late or more, your appointment will be cancelled and your deposit will be lost. And I guarantee you, once you start standing strong to these boundaries, clients will either, you know, follow you and have a really good understanding and say, yep, okay, I completely understand. Or like I said, they will go somewhere else. And I know that a lot of people get nervous when I say they will go somewhere else, but just know that in hindsight, it's a really, really good thing if people that don't respect your boundaries go somewhere else. And I promise you will start to attract people that do respect you, that do respect your salon, that do respect your boundaries, and you will be more comfortable, your team will be more comfortable, and you will be working in just a much more smooth flowing environment. So I hope that helped you guys. I hope you got something out of it. Please let me know what you're going to take away or what you're going to implement, because I would absolutely love to hear from you guys.